What is the oil pressure sensor and how does it work? The oil pressure sensor in a car is a fundamental component to ensure proper operation and protection of the engine. Its task is to measure and send information about the lubricating oil pressure to the gauge on the instrument panel, allowing the driver to detect potential problems in the lubrication system and take appropriate action. This sensor is typically located at the bottom of the engine, near the oil pump. It consists of an electronic device that uses a pressure transducer to detect oil pressure and send a signal to the oil pressure gauge on the car's dashboard. The oil pressure sensor works through a pressure measurement system. The lubricating oil is pumped from the engine crankcase through the oil galleries and reaches all the moving parts of the engine, such as bearings, camshafts, pistons, among others. As the oil flows, it puts pressure on the transducer in the oil pressure sensor. When the oil pressure is low, which could occur due to a failed oil pump, a leak in the lubrication system, or a low oil level, the sensor sends an electrical signal to the oil pressure gauge on the dashboard. This signal activates the low oil pressure warning light, which tells us that we must take action to resolve the problem. It is important to note that the oil pressure sensor only monitors oil pressure and alerts the driver of any abnormalities. However, it does not control or regulate oil pressure itself. In addition to its primary function of monitoring oil pressure, the oil pressure sensor also plays an important role in engine protection. In the event that the oil pressure is too low, the sensor can send a signal to the engine management system to limit engine power or even stop it completely. This is done to avoid further damage to the engine and prevent a possible risk of breakdown. It is important to mention that the oil pressure sensor may have different characteristics depending on the model and brand of the car. Some sensors have a wider measurement range than others, allowing them to detect smaller variations in oil pressure. Additionally, some sensors may have an analog or digital output, depending on how they transmit information to the engine management system. It is advisable to periodically check the operation of the oil pressure sensor and its electrical connection to ensure that it is in good condition. If it fails or has inconsistent readings, it is important to replace it with a new one. In summary, the oil pressure sensor is a key device for monitoring the lubricating oil pressure in an automobile engine. Its main function is to alert the driver to possible problems in the lubrication system and to protect the engine by limiting power or stopping it in case of insufficient oil pressure. Regular check and replacement of the oil pressure sensor is important to keep your engine running smoothly and prevent costly damage.